and thank you for tuning in to Journey to Wholeness Radio on IntellectualRadio.com. My name is KJ Davis, and I am this afternoon's host, as well as the founder and the owner of the Journey to Wholeness Center. So I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in this afternoon. We have a very interesting show ahead of us. So before we begin, I just want to thank our guests for coming out, and I'll do a brief introduction as I first talk about the topic. So the topic of today's show is going to be cannabis, what you don't know. I like saying it like that. All right. Cannabis.
Don't know.
So many of us, I would say, are very familiar with cannabis in some way, shape, or form. However, it is always this negative connotation.
Absolutely.
Or this feeling of this bad drug or addiction. When you think about cannabis or weed, you think addiction, you think drug, you think, people being arrested, you think weed head. So it's all this negative connotation about it. So what I want to talk today about is really the healing powers, because very little is discussed or talked about when we talk about the healing powers.
Absolutely.
I'm very interested in this topic. Owning a holistic healing and wellness center, one of the things that we talk about or we look for are alternative approaches to healing and wellness. And it's been brought up in many circles that I'm a part of, in terms of the healing powers of cannabis. And I am not an expert on it, which is why I have with me today Kiana Hughes, who is a cannabis advocate, right?
It's so weird hearing someone say that, but yes, I am a cannabis advocate.
Cannabis advocate.
Absolutely.
So cannabis activist as well as educator.
Yes, I'm absolutely an educator.
An educator as well as
presenter,
co-chair.
Public speaker, yes.
Co-chairman or co-chairperson of what is it? Women in.
So the name of the group is Women Grow. Women Grow, it's the Chicago chapter of Women Grow, but they're actually a national group. And I'm also working on behalf of Illinois Women in Cannabis. So that's kind of probably where the confusion comes in, as well as my own company, which is Two Dope Chicks. And that's who I'm representing today.
So Two Dope Chicks.
Yes.
I absolutely love that.
I love the name too.
Thank you.
I love
Thank
that
you.
name. So tell me, what does it mean?
I will. Well, Two Dope Chicks, there actually are two of us. It's myself and my business partner, Phoenicia Hubbard, who she couldn't be here today, but she's listening. So hi, Phoenicia.
Hi, Phoenicia.
And DOPE is an acronym. So DOPE stands for Developing Opportunities for Personal Empowerment.
Okay.
And we are both really into personal empowerment, first and foremost. We're both educators. Phoenicia's done some really great coaching. We do some workshop facilitation and things of that nature in our professional lives and in our personal lives as well. And so we've taken on the cannabis cause, so to speak, and really the cause to change the cannabis conversation, because that is a way to empower yourself. If you have more knowledge, if you have more information about it, and kind of how we grew from it is getting more knowledge and more information about it and being more exposed. Once you're exposed to people who have really benefited from it, at some point you say, wow, we really need to look into this. And it's really kind of getting a bad rap. So that is what our core mission, our core goal, our everything is really about: getting the word out, educating people. We went into it saying we're not activists, right? Go into it that we were more so like enthusiasts, or just people who were, you just want to share what you know. I mean, it really just comes from a genuine place. And we are both educators at that. So I think that just kind of was a natural fit for the two of us.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is awesome. This is awesome.
And we also have Wanda Bolter,
Hello,
WB4 Marketing,
Yes.
who is a staple on the show, as well as the director of marketing at the Journey to Wholeness Center,
Yes.
and the owner of her own marketing and consulting solution company.
Thank you,
Love it.
Kimberly.
You're welcome. So let's get started with the conversation.
Yes.
As I said before, I am very curious to really understand what being a cannabis activist is about. And really understanding what are some of the stories, the medicinal purposes,
Sure.
the holistic healing approach to using cannabis, and really understanding how people can become more informed and more educated. So I know
Okay.
you guys probably have a few workshops or
Yeah.
lecture series to
Absolutely.
really get more people engaged and involved in the topic.
Absolutely.
So first, what is a cannabis activist?
Well, I will speak from the position of a cannabis educator. I hesitate to say activist because when I think about an activist, I think of someone who, like, there are people that go to Springfield and go to Washington, D.C., and they are lobbying and they're really all over, the law and the legislation. And so I would never want to take away from what those people do. Right. And so I guess in my own right, I would be an activist on the home front in the local, in the local areas and communities. And so what we do, or what that is, I can tell you more. So I'll start by telling you why I do it, if that helps you. So
it does. Like, how did you get started?
Where did
with
this
it?
come from?
What piqued your interest?
Yes.
And not only because you have to have something that really piques your interest in it, but then something that keeps it there.
Absolutely.
and it empowers you to really want to fight for it, or to have
Absolutely.
more people understand the benefits of it.
Yes. So I'll start by saying like a lot of people that I've run into, I come from a family that has been devastated by drug and alcohol abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And not like, I don't mean like my immediate family. I mean, like, I'm going to be 38 years old soon. And for as long as I can remember, right, there have been people in my family, whether they were aunts, uncles, cousins, whomever, on both sides, right, who have struggled and really dealt with drug and alcohol abuse in really big and traumatic ways. So, everybody is familiar. Everyone has a story in their family of someone who's, you had to take their kids. They couldn't take care of them kids. They're in and out of jail. They are, just living these deviant, just less than their best lives due to drugs and alcohol. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll speak for my family, and you can say whether or not it's true for what you know, but it wasn't. It wasn't weed. Right. It wasn't because they were smoking joints.
Right.
Okay. That was from heroin and crack and cocaine and again, alcohol.
Right.
But playing devil's advocate,
Sure.
Some people say that, well, that's how they started. That was their initial foray into the world of drugs. Yeah,
and I'll say scientifically that's been disproven time and again, but I will also say if someone has an addictive, because I know that I have that addiction gene in my family, right? And because I have that awareness and that knowledge and that kind of wisdom, I know that what I like a lot, right?
Right.
And so because of that, and just because of who I am and what I've learned, there's some boundaries that I won't cross, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I know that because I know that about myself. I will say that, especially for our parents' generation, and my parents are in their 50s and 60s, they didn't know, right? They didn't know what it was going to be or what it was going to do. So it was experimentation. It was, they didn't have the kind of information and the kind of knowledge that we have now. Absolutely. They didn't have the kind of examples we have walking up and down the street right now that we have now. So I would say to someone who thinks it's a gateway drug, I'll say this: before I ever smoked weed, I drank and I smoked cigarettes, right? Because of where I came from, I was scared. I was scared of weed going all the way into college. So I wasn't one of those people that was skipping school to smoke weed and all that kind of stuff, because I was like, yo, and I was in the DARE program, and I bought into the hype too. I was educated or miseducated or whatever, as well. So I would say that if someone has that personality, if they're a risk taker, then they're going to take risks regardless of what it is, right? If they want to find the next best thing, if that's not enough for them, if you don't know, then you will try other things. Right. And I think ignorance is more of a gateway drug than
so really it's based upon that. From what it sounds like from you're saying it's really based upon that individual's personal choice. It's not the drug itself that leads them to do more. It's not a drug to say, okay, I'm doing weed, but now this is not enough. Now I'm going to shift to cocaine. Now I'm going to shift to this or that. Yeah. So that's why it is a myth that the drug itself is what's driving an individual to do deeper drugs or go to deeper.
The gateway is whatever is going on in their life that makes them need to get even more high than they already are, right? Whatever it is that they're trying to escape. So stress is the gateway drug, right? The gateway condition, because people do whatever it is they're doing, whether it's eating, whether it's shopping, whether it's anything that you can be addicted to. You do that because you're uncomfortable, because you're stressed, because you got something going on that you are trying to get away from. So escapism is the gateway drug.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So now you said your family was part of the catalyst I
should continue that.
Getting involved.
So a couple years ago, it was funny. I was watching TV with my husband one night. The news came on, and it was like a news flash that there was a heroin epidemic, right? And it was like, whoa, there's a heroin epidemic in the land, right? Panic time. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, well, yeah, but they're late, right? Because
it's been around.
Where you been?
Right.
Where you been? Because in my neighborhood and where I grew up and what I've seen, and not like I grew up in some impoverished, middle class, regular people, that's been going on. So why is it a big deal now? Well, it's a big deal now because it's not just an urban or lower class. Black people, white people, whatever kind, Black people, Mexican people, whatever kind of people issue. It has reached the affluent white suburbs. It has reached the white college kids, the white high school kids. And look, I'm not a racist, but I can't ignore racial things. I won't just pretend like things don't exist. So, at the point where that became the issue, then it was
an epidemic
that we need to do something about. And so when my family was going through, their, in the 80s and the 90s and that time when things were really rough, it was about, the war on drugs, and we gonna come down on these people, and there's zero tolerance, and, there's all these different things. It was about criminalizing people. It wasn't about helping them, right? It wasn't about rehabilitating them or anything like that. And now it's like, oh, wait, we got to do something, right? We need some money in this. So it pissed me off, right? And I'm happy to say that, let me keep going with one train of thought, sorry. So why they are addicted to heroin now, why the white kids got it or the rich people have it, is because they started off with these opioid painkillers, right? It started off with, a back injury or, whatever. I remember I got my wisdom teeth pulled, all four of my wisdom teeth pulled some years back. They gave me 10 Vicodin. Right? And then they're like, keep taking them and don't take them every 4 hours and don't let it run out, because if you do, you're going to be in pain. And, so they're like, boom, take them. Pushing it. So what was happening is whether it's the parents or whether it's the kids, they start off taking these opioid pain relievers. So when I say that, I mean like a Percocet, Vicodin, OxyContin, Norco, whatever that is. They start off taking these things, and when that prescription runs out and they can't get any more from their doctor, or they can't doctor shop and find a doctor to get some from, or they can't get any more off the black market, they are still addicted, and they go to the next best thing, which gives them the next best high, which is cheaper and easier to access, which is heroin. So what's happening now is that they're getting those more and more. They're being prescribed that more and more. Doctors are shooting them off.
Right.
You know, yeah. What? Oh, your back hurt? Boom, Norco for you, right? Oh, you can't sleep? Boom, Valium, and whatever, right? They're giving them things that they are becoming addicted to, and now they're going in that direction. Right. So that's why heroin came to the neighborhood, and I kind of felt like it should have been noticed as a problem before then. And now that you have cannabis as an alternative to that, why aren't we looking at that as a viable solution?
So why aren't we? Why do you think that is?
Because there's a lot of people making money from it.
From the drugs, from the other drugs, the Norco and the
drugs.
So
yes,
and cannabis actually, and you're saying, and if you could elaborate on that as well too, cannabis being a viable solution to the pain, to the anxiety, versus the prescription of
okay. So when you get, if you look at like a disease like cancer, for example, the money isn't in the cure, the money is in the treatment. So we know for a fact that if you get cancer, they're going to prescribe for you chemotherapy and or radiation. And in doing that, you're going to kill the good stuff and the bad stuff. And it might take you out too. And and there's going to be any number of side effects as a result of these treatments. And for those side effects, they're going to prescribe you some different medicines. Right. And so you just end up, it's like a cycle of meds. Right. So that's money, because then that keeps you, you keep having to go in, you keep having to get these prescriptions filled. Well, so that keeps the prescription drug companies, keeps their pockets fat. And when you look at cannabis as a medicine and not just as something that's recreational, and when you really dig in and do the research, and it really doesn't take a lot of research, to be honest with you, you learn that we have in our bodies what's called an endocannabinoid system.
What's that?
Okay, your endocannabinoid system, you have cannabinoid receptors in your body. So cannabinoids are the compounds in cannabis that makes it do what it does, right? Okay. There are, let's just say it's the stuff in the cannabis that makes it effective, okay? There are lots of them. However, the two most popular ones are CBD, and just so as to not confuse you more, I won't tell you what that.
Right. But that's in our bodies already?
It's in your body. The receptors are in your body. So your body is already programmed to respond to it.
Oh.
Right. And I have read and seen some things, and I'm not going to tout somebody else's research, and I haven't dug deep enough, but I have heard that our bodies actually do produce some of those cannabinoids as well. Right.
That makes
so
sense.
Our bodies are set up to respond to them, so that when you have those cannabinoids in your system, right, it is firing off different reactions, I'll just say, within your body, right? Your body's responding to it, whether it's in your nerves and your joints and so on. So you have THC, which is the cannabinoid that is more psychoactive, the thing that makes people, quote unquote, high. That's what we know cannabis to be, right?
Okay.
There is also what's called CBD, the one I was about to tell you about, where that one has the more medicinal properties. It does not make you high. Okay. It works in your system to reduce inflammation. It regulates insulin. It regulates digestion. Oh my gosh, it's for pain relief, swelling, all of those different things. It's kind of a, it is kind of a, I don't want to call it a miracle drug, right? I'm not here to be like,
but it has many,
many
multiple
benefits.
It really
so now
does.
How does someone differentiate, or is there a different strength of the drug, like how, so we're talking about two different things.
Recreation versus medicinal
versus the get high part, and where's the balance between?
Okay, a couple things there. So there are different strains of cannabis. Okay. So just like there are, I like produce, right? I like to go to the grocery store and look at produce. I like to go to like Trader Joe's and places like that where they have the heirloom tomatoes. Okay. And if are you familiar? Right. So they come in different colors. There's different types. There's different types of tomatoes, period. Right. All different kinds. Some of them have more lycopene. Some of them have more of this. They have different health benefits. Right. With me?
Yes.
So same thing with cannabis. There are different strains of cannabis that have different levels of THC and CBD.
I see.
So there are some strains. So the people that are really trying to get high, they are looking for and going for the high THC strains, right? Okay. But if you are just looking for pain relief, if you're looking for, just purely medicinal purposes, you want to have a high CBD strain. Now, the thing about that is they kind of work together. There's something called the entourage effect. So you have to have, like, you're never going to get something that is just all completely just CBD. Okay. It's going to have at least a little bit of THC in it to make it work. Yeah. Right, to make it do what it's supposed to do.
Okay. So my question with my daughter who has epilepsy, who decides on her own she was going to try some, and I said, well, where did you get that from? I was concerned because she had done some of her own research that where she bought it from wasn't. So could she have bought more THC kind, or if she was buying it recreationally versus buying what could actually help her? Because that's what I told her. She said, you don't know that, which I really didn't know that.
Does she have a card? She needs to get a card, right? Because I'll say this, because when you go to a dispensary, here in Illinois, first of all, we have the medical cannabis program, the Illinois Medical Marijuana Pilot Project. That's what they call it. And so it is legal if you have a certain condition, right? There's a list of 40 conditions, and I'll just kind of show this to you guys here. Right. There's a list of 40 conditions that if you have one of these conditions, then you, and fit some other criteria that we can talk about as well, you can be registered as a medical marijuana patient in Illinois. Now, why that's important is if you're just out there buying from your local,
that's what I told her.
Dude, right? It's cute and it's hilarious. I love it. They're like, I got that bubble kush, I got that sour OG, whoop-de, like they have names, and you're like, okay, whatever. They may know or they may not know what they have, right? So you can't be sure that what you're getting, and she's a smart girl, and I'm sure she knows. You can go on LeafFly and you can look up different strains and see what kind of.
She shouldn't know, or should she?
That's she absolutely should. Me. No, come on. She's a dope girl. That is an opportunity for her own personal empowerment. I love it.
I got scared, and she got in a lot of trouble. I will say. But you bring up a really good point, though, and to your point as well, Wanda, is that as parents and grandparents and the people who are raising the children who really don't understand cannabis and the health benefits, and we have all grown up as this is a drug and it's bad for you.
You're going to be a weed head.
Don't do it. You're going to be a weed head. Because we know weed head.
Yes.
Who just sit and play video games. Of course. So it really is the empowerment. And I think what you're speaking ourselves to learn something different, and then being able to take that knowledge and information. Because I feel the exact same way. If I had a child who had a health condition, that would be the last thing that I would be thinking about, is an alternative approach to whatever is going on with them.
Sure.
At least that one.
And I get it. I mean, I get it. I get it, because you don't know what you don't know. I will say for you, Wanda, I do have on the back of here some resources. So the Epilepsy Foundation, they did medical marijuana and epilepsy. So the information is there if you want it.
That's what she told us. She said, but to me, she bought it off she didn't know who she even bought it from.
She just needs that.
She needs that help. Right. But let me just say this. We are so quick to, we'll give our kids other things, right? My son, and I wouldn't do this to him, but I would if I could. Let's be honest, I would if I could. But the other day, he had a cough, right? He's coughing. He's he's sick. He's this, that, and the other. And I'm like, now I'm gonna give him this NyQuil, right?
But I don't know what's in that either.
I don't know what's in NyQuil, right? True. It says acetaminophen. It says glucofruit, whatever, right? I've never seen an acetaminophen plant.
Honey, it says about 20, 30 different.
It says a whole heap of stuff, right?
That's true.
I have a sinus stuff, right? It's fluticasone propionate. That's awesome, right? I have no idea what that is. I've never seen an ibuprofen plant. I've never seen an acetaminophen plant. Okay.
Yes.
If acetaminophen robbed me in broad daylight in the middle of the street, I wouldn't be able to identify acetaminophen in a lineup. Okay. But everybody knows what cannabis looks like. You know what it is. But there's a lot of information. There's a lot of misinformation. I hear people say stuff like, they spray it with all these chemicals and they do this to make you hallucinate. And
that's not true.
That's not true. Okay. They don't have to. It grows with THC and CBD in it.
Let's talk about cannabis as just that.
Yeah,
right.
Because the plant.
Yeah.
And how did it come about? If you have the information, but how did it come about as now this plant is something that is bad, I guess, because it gets you high, or I don't know. I'm still trying to bridge the gap, because, and we've talked about this lot on this radio show, and in the Journey to Wholeness Center, as well as this whole pharmaceutical chemicals, the pharmaceutical business aspect of it, the chemicals aspect of it, as we're looking for things to help our children with stress and anxiety and depression, as well as ourselves, the first thing that we do is we take them to doctors so they can get drugged up.
A pill.
And there's an acceptance that that's okay. That those are good drugs and chemicals. But why is it even that cannabis is labeled as a drug when it's a plant?
So I'll tell you what I know of the research, from the research that I've done. So cannabis, as far as I've read and everything that I've seen, says that cannabis has been used as medicine for over 3,000 years, right? So if you think back to just ancient times, I mean, for over 3,000 years, people have used cannabis as a medicine, just like they have any other herb and all the, echinacea, St. John's wort, oregano. My friend gave me some oregano oil the other day. Just any number of herbs and such,
jasmine,
right?
Just so many.
Jasmine, chamomile, all of those things. So it's been used like that forever. What happened was, in the United States, and it was even sold in the United States as medicine, right? So it was sold in cough syrups and in different things as well. And
cannabis was?
Cannabis was, absolutely. And also hemp, right? Hemp was a big part of and hemp comes from the same family. So what happened is that when we had a big Mexican migration back in like 1910, right? And we had a whole lot of Mexican immigrants coming into the country, and they were the ones that brought marijuana with them into the States, right? And it was something that they used in Mexico, for medicine, for food, as well as recreationally to get high. It's also been used in like spiritual ceremonies and things of that nature. So they come over with it, and it becomes popular amongst not just the Mexicans and the immigrants, but then also in the jazz scene, right, with the Black people. And I'm not a history buff, so I'm sorry for not having the dates and the figures and the people. But the government at that time, there was a big anti-immigrant kind of sentiment, just like it is now, right? There's a big anti-immigrant sentiment, and there was a lot of fear-mongering, just like it is now. And so in order to kind of cast a bad light on, first of all, they started calling it marijuana to give it that Mexican kind of name, give it that exotic name, right? So we're going to call it that. So it's like this foreign exotic thing that those immigrants and those Black people, they're doing it, right? And that makes them crazy, right? So then you started having like reefer madness, and they talk about the wacky tobacco and all these that's negative where all these negative ties, yes. So all of that is kind of sprinkled amongst the land, so to speak, sprinkled amongst the elite and the and the upper class and the white people and the superior people, to say, okay, well, if you are of this class and this kind of person, you don't want to do that because that's what those people do, right? And then you have like the emergence of like the hippie culture and the different kind of countercultures that were just like, yo, forget that. This is good. That embraced it, right? But then we weren't embracing of that, right? Then it was like, whoa, they crazy. They're those losers. They're not working. Yes. And then you have laws against it. And then they're also doing like acid and LSD. So there's all these things that are kind of being lumped in together, right? So they don't know what's making them crazy. They just know they're crazy, and it's the things that they're doing.
And now it's a bad thing.
And it's a bad thing. And then you get to the legislation and the war on drugs and the just say no and the don't do, all of those different things tied in together, and all the money that was made off of it, right? And then we add in the criminalization, and the money that's made from the prison system. It's so all a cycle. And then you add in the religious people and there's just a whole bunch of stuff layered
without going back to the basics of the education of cannabis as a plant and a healing agent.
A question.
Yes, I thought you were about to set me up for a question, but without going back to just the basics, back to the roots, back to where
that it is a plant. Right. Can you ask your doctor for it? How does that work? I mean, what if you know that you have an illness and you would like a different approach? Is it something you can talk to your physician about?
So you can and you should. Here's how the program works in Illinois. So if you are 18 years of age or older, or if you're a child and you have your parents' consent, if you have a certification from a doctor, and I'll talk about that in a second, or if you're under 18, you got to have a certification from 2 doctors, and you have one of these conditions. As of right now, there's only these conditions on the list.
Those 40 conditions.
You got to have one of these conditions, right? And you have one of these conditions. The doctor certifies that you have it. You complete an application, right? You pay the money. You got to get a background check, which means you got to get fingerprinted. Okay, so there is a process that you
to even use it at yourself
to get to get registered for the program and get a medical marijuana card in the state of Illinois. Because as it stands now, there's plenty of I won't say plenty, but there's a lot of dispensaries that are out there. But if you don't have a card here in Illinois, you can't even go inside a dispensary.
Are there dispensaries in Illinois?
There are absolutely dispensaries in Illinois. Yep.
None in the south suburbs.
Right. And Homewood, right off 175th and Halsted.
Really?
Windy City Cannabis, absolutely.
So you have to go. So there's steps.
There's a process. This doesn't actually detail the process, but there is a process to getting the card. And here's the thing: when you mention the doctors and the people in the medical field, and this is really important because, as it stands right now, they're kind of the gatekeepers, and they are the bottleneck and the stopgap and the toddler gate, whatever. They are the ones that are stopping it from going forward. And a lot of that is because of lack of knowledge and lack of education and kind of dealing with some of those same things. Right. The only thing the doctor needs to do on their application is to certify that you have the condition that it says you have, that you say you have. That's all they have to do. So they don't have to recommend it. They don't have to prescribe it. You can't write a prescription for it because you can't like go get it filled at Walgreens. You got to go to a dispensary. You can't pay for it with your insurance. It's cash only.
Okay.
Right. You can't pay for it with a credit card. It's cash only.
Okay. So so do you think one of the reasons they don't is because now if you're feeling better, you won't come back to them as often? How does it benefit them not to prescribe this or
the same,
push you towards that
same
route?
reason why they have doctors and nutritionists, like the same reason that they could tell you, well, if you eat right and if you do this and this, they could be more prescriptive about that and really help you fix some of the things that you have going on, but they don't do that. They're like, hey, take this pill.
And it's the exact same thing with the healing practitioners that we have at the Journey to Wholeness Center. So when you get into holistic healing, that's not being covered by insurance because it's not even being recognized that most of the people who come to the doctor with physical issues and ailments, it really starts in their emotional body.
Yeah.
From stress, from anxiety, from the emotional blocks, from the childhood traumas and dramas.
Yeah, and we don't want to get into that. And
if we get into that and we teach people how to heal within and empower them with the tools that they need, then you won't need to spend money going to a doctor, and insurance companies won't continue to get rich, and the pharmaceutical drug companies won't continue to get rich.
And honestly, they'll still get some money, right? You'll still get your money. Somebody, there's always going to be some people that are like,
and that's I'm not into that holistic thing.
I don't
exactly. I just want to pop a pill.
I just want to pop a pill. I just want to feel good. That's what I'm used to. Let me get a pill. But I also just want to go back to something when I talk about my family and my family members and people that have struggled with drug abuse. A lot of them are in recovery and have been now for past 20 years or so. And so one of my major concerns too is that if somebody breaks their back, or if they God forbid get sick, if you get cancer or whatever, or if you just do anything, an injury, any injury. I have a lot of truck drivers in my family, right? You can get injured in a minute, right? You break your back or you have a fall or whatever, your doctor is going to prescribe for you some opioids, right? They're gonna give you a little bottle of heroin.
You just
Yes, and either you're going to be able to say, well, no, I'm not going to take that because I know what that is, and be in pain, right? And now your livelihood is taken away from you. Now you can't do whatever, right? Or, you're going to take it, and then all your hard work, all you've done over these past 15, 18, all these years.
Open your body up to become chemically dependent.
After all that repair and all that healing you did to your physical body and your mental body. Yeah, well, your mental body, your brain.
But no, it is a mental body.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that's a concern for me, right? I don't feel like you should have to be having one of these. I mean, if you look at these conditions, half of them you can't pronounce. You don't know what they are. And when you look them up, you'll be like, oh, thank God I don't have that.
I mean, you have to be close to death. I mean, there's a lot of things that just looking at this list, and for instance, for people who can't see it, I mean, there's Alzheimer's and cancer and things that are life-threatening,
glaucoma,
I don't see AIDS.
Arthritis. That's a.
It's not on there.
It's not on there.
Arthritis is not on.
No.
Arthritis is not on here.
I was looking at resources.
Yes, ma'am. That's just to show you that it's helpful.
And to me, arthritis would be
spot on. And you don't even have to know something with like arthritis, and just talk about how you take and get the medicine. There's lotions, there's balms, right?
Oh, you don't have to smoke it.
You don't have to smoke it. You can infuse your honey with it. You can drink it. You can eat it. You can cook with it. There's edibles. There's brownies. There's sausage. Like there's all kinds of stuff. So it's not even like you have to smoke it. So it's something like arthritis.
I didn't even.
There are topical treatments, right? You can just rub it on you. Okay, the high CBD made out of those high CBD strains.
As well?
Yes, they are.
So
They are.
anything that uses the cannabis plant.
There are some things that are, there are some products that only are CBD products, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those are legal in Illinois. Okay, you can get them, you can get them in Illinois without having the card. But like I said, the CBD product, the CBD it doesn't work as well.
You need a bit
just
of the tea
by itself.
Right.
You need the full
plant.
strength,
You
right?
the full
it's kind
plant.
of the difference
right.
between like an over-the-counter or a prescription strength. Okay.
I see.
So you can get some stuff if you know where to go, but now you can't go into a dispensary, so you can't walk in and just get
without going through the process to get the card.
Yeah, and you can't get the card because your condition ain't on the list.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what about the children? I guess now I'm still a little confused as to should parents who have these children that are doing it and not necessarily for medicinal purposes, it is a plant. Should they be concerned? Should they? How?
Personally, no. I think here's the thing. So there is. I always say this, and this is what I've told even my daughter. She's 14. I said, look, I didn't do that all the way through high school, right? There's your brain needs to develop. You need some sober time in your life, right? So I'm certainly not saying that
exactly.
Just go in and let half
Right.
and puff up, right?
Right.
I certainly think that as a parent, you set boundaries the same way you do or you would for anything else, right? And the same way you would for alcohol or whatever, right?
I see.
So
that makes sense.
You handle it the way you handle anything else. However, I will say it is a plant, right? It just keep that in mind. It is a plant.
Form, though.
And it's
I get afraid of what some of the kids are doing with the plant in terms of mixing it with other things.
But they don't need to.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if they are. They don't need to.
How do you know where they're getting it from, though? That's what I told my daughter with the epilepsy. I'm like, what? How do I know? But like you said, with any drug, how do I know what's in any drug? But at least it's on the bottle, right? This I have no clue.
You hope. Right. Here's the thing. Now here's what's scary. There was fake weed out there. Man, what was the name? Flocka, or there was some. Oh, what was it called? Some stuff that they were actually had in stores. You can get it at the gas station. You could get it in Indiana. People were getting it. It's off the market now. It's illegal now. But it was fake, like synthetic weed. Oh. People were actually going crazy. Like it was driving them crazy, like psychotic episodes. And this isn't, I don't mean, some urban myth and, somebody ran down the street without their clothes on. No, I mean like actual people that I know they went off from the synthetic weed. So now what I've told my cousins and those who are of age, if you're going to do something, you do the real thing.
That's
right. And if you can't do the real thing, that because they were doing that because they were worried about drug tests and all that different stuff. Right. But that it's synthetic. It's fake. It's man-made. It's manipulated. It's not the real thing. Even the dirtiest weed that you get from just your street weed person, right? It's still just the plant. They ain't had no money to add nothing to it. They haven't done anything. Just trust me on this. Like there's just no reason.
My daughter was locked up for the whole for 8 months,
and they put
gasoline
on it, and they put.
Don't have to, man. Like, they want to sell more of it, so they're not trying to kill off people. Like it's not crack. Like it's not.
Okay. So, do you think at some point in time they will try to regulate it, so they will give it out to more people? I mean, if the government gets a hold of a way to make money off of it,
right?
Yeah.
Will they do that eventually?
I think that's down the road. You have places like good old Colorado, where it's recreationally legal and medicinally. Okay. So you can go to Colorado, and the way their dispensaries are set up is there's one side that is for medical, and then there's one side that's for recreational. Pretty much they got the same stuff on both sides, but they try to keep it separate. And they're having good results. Economically, socially, they able to invest the money in the schools. Crime
is down.
Like they're having good results. So I say when you have those kind of good there's only a matter of time before enough of those
Other
examples that other states catch on.
Yeah.
Right now in Illinois, we have certain people in office, and they have, certain interests and things to gain from whatever position they take. So, the tides are changing. But we do have to, I just feel like it's important that we get the information out there, because what we have to work with right now is trying to get more stuff added to this list.
Than these 40.
Than these conditions here, so that more people can have access to it.
If there was something we don't know that you think it would benefit us to know, the biggest thing about cannabis, what would that be?
I think that, well, probably one of the biggest things that you should know and just keep in mind is that it's not a weed, it's a plant, right? It's not marijuana, it's medicine. And just as easy as it is for you to take whatever it is that you take, just remember, you don't know where that comes from. You don't know where that comes from either.
That's
right?
True.
You can drink it, you can eat it. I would just want anyone to take away from anything I'm saying to do your own research.
Absolutely.
Don't believe me. Actually, don't believe me. There's plenty of places. There's plenty of information out there and places you can go to get the information that you need.
Wow. So I'm excited and still nervous. I would have to do more research. I really would, because I guess if we couldn't get on the list, because she does have one of these ailments, but she's not one of the 40.
Yeah.
It's one that is relieved by it.
Yeah.
Now I'm still buying something that's deemed illegal. Well, at this point, right?
Yeah. And how do you, because you brought up a really good point in terms of drug tests and stigma, and, so those are other things that you would have to contend with as issues. Well. Absolutely.
Yeah, those are still issues. I will say things are, being decriminalized slowly but surely in Illinois. So I know we did just at least put something on Rauner's desk. It passed the House. It has to get approved by him to change the amount of cannabis someone is caught with, whether or not that's deemed illegal.
That needs to change.
So just to kind of decriminalize that to some degree. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a risk there. There's a lot that goes into it, and there is a risk there, but we just have to arm ourselves with knowledge. We have to be, and just keep your eyes open. And you have to start somewhere.
And sometimes the drugs they're taking over the counter and paying for, I mean, my daughter has bled through her mouth and tongue and body bleeding, lost her skin from the medicine trying to cure her epilepsy. Yeah. So why wouldn't I want to relieve her? And she's still having seizures every week. Yeah. So I would want to try something natural that she's not having a reaction to medicine.
Right.
And still having seizures.
And specifically for epilepsy, because and that's really where you talk about people letting their kids use it. That's when people are letting their kids use it. When you see stories of people whose kids went from 100 seizures a day to maybe 20 to maybe 5, right? It's changing
it would change her life.
It's changing their lives. And I mean little kids, not teenagers. I'm talking 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. Look up, Charlotte's Web and just do a little, just even a little bit of research on that. You can just even look up epilepsy, cannabis, and children. And there are tons of stories. And people have no reason to lie, right? We tend to be so skeptical, or people be like, they just saying that because they're
not just saying that.
Why? Why would somebody lie on their baby? Right? Nobody just wants to put because it's a huge risk.
You want them to be well, so you're not gonna lie and say they were better.
Of people who are really invested in their children, this is what they do. They're researching it.
They're moving up to another state.
Absolutely, to get their children better. So they're doing the homework. Yeah. They're doing the research.
Yeah, mamas, we do whatever it is we need to do to make our children better.
Our babies.
Right. And we've all taken, your grandmama gave you some cod liver oil back in the day.
Yes.
Everybody done chopped up some garlic cloves and ate some nasty stuff in the name of getting better.
And that's what we need to get back to.
And that's what we need to get back to.
Really natural healing solutions. We need to get back there. So Kiana, if somebody is interested in more information, more workshops, learning more about what it is that you guys do and how you do it, how would they reach out to you, and what are some of your upcoming workshops and events?
Oh, thank you for asking. You can reach us. First of all, visit our website at www.two chicks chicks.com. And that's our website. You can get more information as far as our services and what we do. And if you'd like to schedule us we do community outreach and education, as well as work with dispensaries to do their community outreach and education, because they're not reaching out. You didn't even know there's one in our community. They're not reaching out. But also, I am giving a presentation tomorrow at the Park Forest Library at 12 o'clock. It's going to be more of this information, more about, how to get involved in the Illinois program, really about breaking down some of those myths and talking about a little bit more about the benefits, and, just to kind of open the minds and tell you why you might want to, right? Or if you could, or why you should support it, or even just to get you to do more digging for yourself.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that.
Thank you. So I want to thank you for joining us on Journey to Wholeness Radio.
Yeah, this was fun. Thank you.
It was a great show.
I learned a lot.
So I also wanted to just give you guys some information about two major events we have coming up at the Journey to Wholeness Center on Sunday, and it's not too late to sign up. We still have a couple of spots available. We're going to have a special yoga workshop, stress management for yoga, for deep relaxation. It's a 2-hour workshop. It's going to be this Sunday at 11 a.m. at the center. And then at 2 o'clock on Sunday at the center, we're going to have another gong bath, which those are very successful. We usually get a pretty big turnout. So we still have only a few spots available for the gong bath. So as always, you can find us on journeytowholeness.org, or ping us on Facebook, contact us on Facebook. And that is it. I think we are now tuning out of Journey to Wholeness Radio on IntellectualRadio.com. Thank you for joining us. We'll be here talking to you guys next week. Thank you.